Hello, Glynn here, and today I need to show you this. Jewel-Delvers of Nagor Kadir, the playtest version. I can't do this very well in reverse. The hardback is actually available, 128 pages, and this is made at cost on Drive-Thru-RPG. You can get the PDF as well, pay what you want. I'm kind of taking a bit of a risk with this because it's basically essentially a free product. I'm not making any money out of this whilst it's in its playtest format. So if you want to kind of know a bit more about this, the playtest version is largely kind of art free. There's quite a lot of art in it, but there's a lot of placeholders. So what I thought I would do is show you the PDF, just give a flick through of that. So let's have a little look. So it's medieval fantasy. It introduces the concept of something called ghost gates, which are ways to travel to other worlds. So you don't have to stay in the setting of Nagor Kadir. So there would be, say, another book that comes out that is the rules but set in a different technological environment, like a steampunk setting or post-apocalyptic or future sci-fi, something like that. So there's some of this art is art that I bought when I was originally developing Gate Punks, which is kind of what this sort of sits on top of, really. That was a foundational piece. I basically want a multi-genre role-playing game. So this talks about really the technology levels and how that works just from the off, but this book is a medieval fantasy setting. Also, I don't know whether you can see that. It's a bit of an annoying thing that Adobe PDF does. Yeah, I can only see it on my version, it's not shown on screen. But it basically, when you hover over things in PDF, it gives you a description of what it thinks it's hovering over, and then says AI generated content. And it doesn't mean that the content's AI generated, it means the little note that it comes up with. Anyway, highly confusing for you because you're not seeing the little tooltip hover note that I'm seeing. Anyway, so one thing I'll talk about things as I see them in the book. Game mode. So what I've done here is the normal way of dying in the game is as soon as you get to 0 life or less, like hit points, 0 life, you've got 3 rounds to get revived or you're dead. And that's normal game mode. And you get the level rewards for the session awarded 1 times the level rewards. If you decide to play that session on easy game mode, when you're unconscious, when you hit 0 or less, you're kind of unconscious, and you've after 3 rounds you basically wake on 1 life. So you'd only get half of the level reward if you played that session on easy. If you want hard, as soon as you get to 0 you die instantly, but you get double the level reward. So that's just it's kind of really optional, but if you want people to kind of have more control over whether they live or die, so you can play kind of soft 5e or hardcore OSR, the options are there to adjust the game mode and reward levels accordingly. Okay, so character creation, what we've got is ancestry, which there are plagueland ratkins, swinelands, pig folk, Golden Scale Dragon King, you can play these various kinds of, see if I can zoom in. Yes, I can. So you can see the different types of ancestries available, and each one gives different bonuses to your core attributes and in some cases secondary attributes. It also gives you some special features and you gain areas of knowledge. So we'll talk about areas of knowledge in a little bit, but we'll get to attributes next. So attributes, you've got strength, agility, endurance, personality, cognition and occult, and those help generate the secondary attributes, which are your hand-to-hand, your ranged, your throwing, your manifest, which is casting spells, crafting. All equipment can be made if you've got the right materials and tools and such, and handling, which is for vehicles and mounts. And then finally you've got an avoidance, which is derived from the core attributes as well, which is something that modifies whether you can get hit or not, the number of successes that are made when you're attacked. So the core mechanic for this game is D10s, and it's a pool system. 9s or 10s are successes. So if you have a strength score of 5, you would roll 5d10. Any 9s or 10s are 1 success. If the attribute you're testing against is a favoured attribute, which is something that you can gain favoured attributes as you level, but your profession that you pick at the start also dictates your first favoured attribute. Let's say that's strength, and you're rolling a strength test to break a door down, and you've got a strength of 4, you roll 4d10, and the door, breaking down the door, the referee will set a test difficulty, and let's say that's 2, you need 2 successes to break the door down. You've got 4 dice to do it. If it's a favoured attribute, any 10s count as 2 successes. So that explains the core attribute. So then we get on to professions, and like I say on this table here, we've got the professions. They give you your favoured attribute. So if you were a Bakaran mercenary, it would be strength, which we've just talked about. You gain some areas of knowledge in the same way that you gain areas of knowledge for your ancestry. And then you gain some equipment. So you would have a short sword and plus 10 to his wealth. So what's an area of knowledge? An area of knowledge is something that gives you a re-roll on a test. So let's say with the Bakaran mercenary, he's got the haggling area of knowledge, and you're haggling with the merchant, and the referee needs you to roll a test to see if you can haggle with him. Haggling would normally be under personality, so I would say, you know, make a personality test. And when the test is rolled, the player can say, I've got haggling, so can I use that as a re-roll? Obviously, that sounds a pretty good idea, so I would say yes. One of the dice in the test can be re-rolled. If there's more, you can take haggling multiple times. So if it's exactly the same named area of knowledge, they kind of add together. So if you've got haggling 3 times, you get 3 different rerolls. If you've got haggling and bartering, very similar, but they're differently named, that would be referred to as a synergistic area of knowledge. So you'd get a reroll for your haggling, and the bartering complements it, so you'd get a +1 modifier you can apply to a dice as well. So an 8 becomes a 9, meaning it becomes a success. So then we get on to circles. So a circle is basically your party. So if you're playing with 3 or 4 characters, you have a circle, and there are some benefits that you can do as a circle on the circle benefits table. So you could do, let's say, effective strength. So the recipient of the circle's actions would gain an additional dice to their next strength test. Then you've got patrons. So a patron is kind of the person that gives the players their quests. It's somebody they've got some kind of relationship or allegiance to, and it's more of a narrative vehicle, really. The players could potentially have a nemesis as well, so somebody that's always after them, and they will have a base of operations, somewhere where they hunker down, they rest, recuperate. It could be an abandoned caravanserai, or the hull of a beach ship somewhere. It's also the place where, if you've got any crafting tools to make things, such as like a forge or metalworking tooling, that would be where it's located. Obviously you can't cart that around with you on your adventures. So your base of operations is where that resides, and also any livestock that you keep. Wealth. So wealth is abstract. Basically 10 wealth can buy you whatever in the equipment tables. You could call that crowns, or halfpennies, or whatever you want, or credits, depending on the system, but it remains something that you can just use as a measure of wealth, possibly even influence and things like that. But if you find 5 wealth, you can use that 5 wealth to spend in the same way as currency. So next thing, we've got religions, guilds and familiars. You can join a religion, or you can join a guild, or you can train a familiar. You can only ever do one. You could start off being in a religion, have a few levels of that, and then drop the religion and join a guild. You'll start from a 0 level with each time you switch. So that leads me on to talking about character level. So you've got a character level. You'll start at level 1. If you decide at level 1 to also follow a religion, you would have a religion level of 1. Your guild level will be 0. Your familiar, level will be 0 as well. And as you level up, if you become character level 2 and you're still following a religion and you can pay the membership dues, then you advance to religion level 2. So religions and guilds work very similar. So with, say, for example, the Carnathian religion here, Karnath the Destroyer, his focus is warfare, and the entry requirements, so at level 1, or you could even join the religion at level 5, but you'd become religion level 1 at that point, although you've got a character level of 5. So you donate 20 wealth worth of weapons and armour, and members must join any active wars against their homeland. Then when you want to level up, if you gain a character level and you are advancing your religion level, you must pay the membership due, which is 15 wealth times the current character level. Then basically you gain benefits as you advance in religion levels, and they're normally areas of knowledge, and some can work very well for your attacks and hand-to-hand and ranged and spellcasting and things like that. Sometimes they're not an area of knowledge, it's actually a very specific ability. As an example, I think the stone folk of Lar Garan, when you get to level 20, your skin hardens, providing a natural armor rating of 3. Familiars, you can take on a familiar at whatever level. Obviously it would start then at level 1. Every time you gain a character level, it increases to the next level. You pay an upkeep cost in a very similar way to paying a membership due for your guild or religion. You would pay an upkeep cost for food and, you know, other things that the familiar might need. And then as you gain in level, the trainable tasks change. You can have at level 8 familiar level retrieve the master's object. So, you know, you can train your familiar to go and do things for you. You can eventually see through your familiar's eyes and hear through your familiar's ears. You can also have familiar that are automata as well. So they have a much higher upkeep cost because you've got to keep them going. But I just thought that was cool. So why not? Excuse me. So area of knowledge we've discussed, where you've got standard area of knowledge that allows you a reroll and a synergistic that kind of allows you to get modifiers. Some areas of knowledge are in square brackets, and they will have a little suffix appended to them. So if it says short sword proficiency on its own, then you couldn't use that to make a reroll on a hand-to-hand test. It would have to be short sword proficiency in square brackets with H2H, meaning you can apply that to your hand-to-hand rolls as well. So skills and contests, we've talked about the core mechanic, which is you're rolling a number of d10 trying to get 9s and 10s. There's ways of you know, failing, assisting in tests, unmakeable tests as well. So if you've got a strength score of 2 and it's not a favoured attribute, so you can only ever score 2 successes, but the difficulty of the test is 3. You're never going to make it. It's unmakeable. In the same way that in D&D you've got something with 30 armour class and you can only ever roll, you know, 15, 20, 21. So combat and movement works just by move increments into ranges. So you go from close to medium to long to distant to beyond, and then we've basically got a table that tells you how many move increments it takes to get from, you know, from close to beyond would be 50 move increments. So you can kind of just, like if you're doing theatre of the mind, you could just say, okay, he's long distance away, so you know you need, you know, however many moves. I think to go from close to long range, if you move 4 increments, you're within it, and then, you know, if you want to get to distant range, you need to move a total of 10. So that makes more sense when you're playing it. Initiative, you're just basically making a d10 roll and adding your cog score, your cognition. So the way that attacks work is you roll, let's say it's a hand-to-hand attack, you roll, say you've got 6 dice, you roll 6 dice and you score 4 successes. Your opponent will have an avoid score. You take that off the number of successes. So if it's an avoid score of 1, those 4 successes becomes 3. And then you look up how many, what you roll for damage basically on 3 successes, which is rolling the weapon damage dice 2 times, which would be here. So if you get 7 or more successes, it's a lethal strike and your target's reduced to 0 life instantly. Combat actions: move, rush, run, attack, defend, interact, cast, prepare. And how to recover life, fighting with 2 weapons. Character progression: you get level points, and every time you level you can increase your, well, you will increase your life. You'll get 2 points to distribute to your 6 core attributes. you gain an area of knowledge from any on the professions table, and you get some additional benefits. It can be gaining a point to spend on one of your 6 secondary attributes. So hand, range, throw, manifest, handle, craft. And every 5 levels you get to choose another favoured attribute, which basically just helps get more successes, because the 10s are counting as 2 successes. So crafting, you can pretty much craft most things, and if I just jump forward here to the equipment. So the battle axe at the top there, it needs 4 fauna, 15 metal and 6 timber, wood crafting materials. You need tools, which are a forge and some metalworking tools and some woodworking tools, and you need the areas of knowledge, metalworking, woodworking, and you basically, if you've got all that, you can make a crafting test, follow the rules for crafting, and the difficulties, crafting difficulty of 3. So that's essentially crafting in a nutshell. It's just the time it takes. You've got to gather the materials, you've got to have the right tools, and you've got to have the right knowledge. So where was that? So we were back here with the crafting. So that's what the crafting pages are explaining, how to do that. Equipment, we've got hand-to-hand weapons, we've got range weapons, thrown weapons, armour, and then lots of items with crafting recipes for everything if you want to make it. Descriptions of the various things. Then magic, we've got some magic items here that you can chuck in, with also the crafting recipes for the magic items. And then spells. So spellcasting, you either need a spell book to hold in your hand while you're casting, or you need to hold a fetish in your hand, some kind of object or item that is the thing that you use as a focus. And you need to be able to put your hand on wherever your spells are written. So that could be tattoos or ritual scars or something like that. If they're, if they're on your leg, or on your forehead or whatever. So that, we call that spell place. So the spell book and spell place. And as long as you've got spell, that's where you record your spells. The one advantage to having tattoos and scars is you're not going to lose them, but you could lose the fetish, which means you can't cast until you've got your fetish. So you cast with spell points, but every spell you need to make a test to cast it, which means you could fail to cast the spell, and if you fail to cast the spell points are lost. I think that's right. Obviously if you succeed, you've spent them anyway. So there's some risk to casting. You want to make sure your mani score is good to get as many dice. If it's a level 1 spell, it's got a casting difficulty of 1, manifest difficulty. So you only need 1 success to cast the spell. But if it's a 3rd level spell, you need 3 successes. So the higher level spells need more successes to cast. And obviously if you've run out of spell points, you have to wait till dawn the next day. The spell lists up to 10th level. Some environmental factors about concentrating, cover, drowning, falling, darkness, illumination, underwater movement. And then handling is basically for vehicles or mounts. If you want to know how to take control of a ship or a vessel of some kind. Let's have a look at a galley. So a galley needs a captain, and I'm just looking across. So It kind of depends what manoeuvre you're making. So generally speaking, some things like a horse or a rowing boat don't need any area of knowledge. You're automatically considered to be basically trained to operate. It's some other vehicles and mounts you have to have basic training, and basic training means having the right areas of knowledge. So if you want to operate a horse-drawn wagon, you need the horsemanship square brackets handling area of knowledge. Otherwise you're considered untrained, and that's risky because that means handling tests, and if you fail you just get thrown and all manner of things. Then there's training advanced, which is for kind of more complex manoeuvres. So again, it depends what the manoeuvre is. If it's a basic manoeuvre, you're probably going to succeed most of the time. If it's an advanced manoeuvre, you're going to be testing. And then if it's a heroic manoeuvre, like doing a kind of loop-the-loop on a dragon's back, dropping off the dragon, and landing back on the dragon as it comes back down, like that's heroic manoeuvres. So the rules basically tell you when to test down here. So if you're doing a heroic manoeuvre and you're untrained, you will always fail. If you're only basically trained doing a heroic manoeuvre, you'll always fail. And if you've got advanced training, then you need to make a handle test at -2 success penalty. So if you've got 8 dice and you roll 3 successes, it's -2, so you get 1 success. And that may be enough. That may be enough, but unlikely. Okay, so handling. Then we get into the landscape of the setting, which is the lands of Nagor Kadir. This is the map. I think eventually when this is play tested fully enough that I'm comfortable to release it as an actual Kickstarter, then this will come with the post map. And I guess the ultimate goal is to have another book that accompanies it, which is a totally different setting. It's rules and settings, so it stands alone. You can just play with that one book. But if you want to move from Nagor Kadir into another setting, different technology, the rules are there to accommodate that. So we've got a bestiary which has got a bunch of creatures that have been created so far. I'd hope to kind of expand that. We've also got an adventure, a patron challenge, which is basically this map, and it's designed to test kind of all of the game mechanic tests that we can get you to do. So that's quite an interesting little session to run through. It usually takes 2 sessions to run. Well, it depends how eager your players are to actually get into the game rather than eating and talking rubbish to each other. We like to do that. So this is that was the adventure appendices. There's going to be a license for this, so anybody can write for it and publish their own material for free. I mean, it just seems that that's the way these days, and you know, encourages the game along. Full spell list there at the back, hyperlinked. And so this is some different world samples. So it's showing how things would be in other settings and still work with all the core rules. So we've got a Badlands Sheriff profession, we've got an Amiga XT5 droid ancestry, religions or cults, we've got Mad Dogs Raiders, some post-apocalyptic gang, a steampunk guild that refurbish automata. I think pretty much we're getting to the end of it. This is just a list of all the areas of knowledge that are mentioned in the book. You can see the start here. These are all square bracketed areas of knowledge that can be used when testing secondary attributes, and then the rest are all the other ones. And then some play testing notes with places you can put your page number, and a character sheet at the end. Although there is a new character sheet that's 2 pages, everything's spread out a bit more, and it's got some spaces for the vehicles and all the crafting recipes that you could get. So hopefully I've explained kind of what this is. Now, interestingly, if you go to DriveThruRPG and search for Jewel-Delvers, this should pop up. This is the playtest version. The PDF is pay what you want, and the hardcover is at cost. So I make nothing from this as it currently stands. You'll see that I think when I ran a sales report, there are 57 downloads of this already, and I haven't really announced it, which is nice. There was some issue with the PDF. It didn't upload to DriveThru correctly for some strange reason. I don't know what that was, and it meant that I think people that were downloading it couldn't download the file. So there's a couple of comments in the DriveThru page about not being able to get the file. So I've provided an alternative link in the comments as well. But you should be able to get that, no problem. Somebody's verified that it does download now. But you will see that I have no reviews and 1 1-star rating. Now, I don't like, from an effort point of view, I think you could say it's worth more than 1 star. I think the 1 star comes from the fact that they obviously paid, presumably paid nothing for it, because after 50 downloads, 57 downloads, all of them have been PDF downloads, and 1 person paid. This is pay what you want, so that's fine. I haven't got an issue with that. But I'm hoping that the person that left a 1-star rating actually read it and really thought it was crap, because then that's valid. But between me and you, we know that didn't happen. This person paid nothing for that, couldn't download it for whatever reason, and just decided to give it 1 star. Fuck you very much. Anyway, that's by the by. In playtesting, we're having a lot of fun with this. So I think I'm into my OSR gaming, but also sometimes I want something different, and I think that's what this gives me. It gives me something that's not necessarily the same OSR kind of game over and over again, which I love, but sometimes I need something different. And it doesn't always matter which kind of OSR game I'm playing. They've all got that same sort of same rules, same feel. We're still rolling a D20. I didn't want to have to roll a D20. I think that was ultimately what a lot of this was about. I like dice pool systems, and I like OSR, and I wanted something multi-genre capable, and this has evolved over a long time. So I'd really love it if you downloaded this and gave some real honest feedback. If you look in the start of the book, just flick back to it. Down here in the on page 2, right at the bottom, there's a little Google form link. That'll take you to a form where you can actually download direct from there as well. But you can basically provide some feedback, like type in feedback to give me, rather than this this habit of just providing 1 star and not fucking telling me why. Oh, so frustrating. Like, I'm happy to have 1 star if somebody tells me and gives me a good reason for 1 star. But I can't see it. Can't see it, fortunately. Right, okay, so I think I'm done. I've said about as much as I can about this for the moment. But please just go and download it. If you want to play it, the hardcover, 128 pages. It's premium colour. It's a nice thing. So yeah, hopefully you know, you can see the print quality is pretty good, and I've used all my layout skills to make this a cracking book, and I'm really happy with it so far. But playtesting of games, it really needs other people to play test it as well, and it's the feedback. The feedback's invaluable. So that's about it. I have waffled on for way too long, so I'm going to say good night and have good fun. Cheerio.